Welcome, deep divers, to another exploration into the things that truly stick around. The foundational assets in an age where so much feels, well, fleeting. Imagine for a moment owning something that quite literally isn't being made anymore, a tangible piece of the world that is unequivocally yours. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into the compelling world of owning rural land. We've gathered insights from quite a stack of articles, research, expert commentary, and our mission is clear to unpack why rural land is far more than just property. It's a unique investment, a vast personal playground, and maybe surprisingly, a source of income. So, whether you're dreaming of escape, looking for a savvy new investment avenue, or maybe just intensely curious about what possibilities lie beyond the city limits, get ready. We think you'll discover some truly fascinating nuggets of knowledge today.
Let's start with the fundamental appeal of land itself. In a world full of volatile markets and disposable goods, there's an almost primal draw to something so permanent. What, in your view, makes land such a solid, long-term kind of investment?
It really boils down to, I think, unmatched stability. When you consider other assets, well, a house can burn down, right? Stocks can tank overnight. Precious metals can even be stolen. But land, it simply is. It's there forever. That inherent immovability, that tangibility, that's what provides its bedrock stability.
That's a compelling point, certainly. And that old saying, they're simply not making any more of it, it really underscores land's finite nature, doesn't it? How does that scarcity specifically translate into its unique investment potential in today's economy, especially compared to, say, other assets?
Well, that finite nature is key. It means land offers tremendous potential, particularly as an inflation hedge. Unlike paper assets that might be tied really closely to economic cycles,
Hmm.
land acts as a tangible store of wealth. It's like a true ballast in an unpredictable world. It's an asset that tends to appreciate over time simply because its supply is fixed. Meanwhile, demand, driven by population growth and changing preferences, often continues to rise.
And that explains why the timeless real estate mantra, location, 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 isn't just about the house on the plot. It fundamentally underscores how the land itself is the chief driver of its value. It's the ground beneath your feet that truly appreciates. But a lot of people might initially wonder, why rural land? We're so accustomed to city conveniences, instant access to everything, constant connectivity. What's the real tangible draw of stepping, beyond that suburban sprawl?
That's an excellent question. And the answer, surprisingly, is kind of twofold. Part of it is exactly what many people imagine, that desirable lack of hustle and bustle, that genuine escape from the urban grind, a return to quietude. But the other half, the one that often truly surprises people, is the significant financial upside. We're talking about potentially generating passive income, maybe through hunting leases that can command premium rates for well-managed land, or leveraging sustainable timber harvest not just for profit, but actually for land improvement too. It effectively turns your property into a working asset that can pay you back.
Okay, so the allure isn't just about getting away from it all. It can also be a smart financial play, which leads us to this fascinating dual purpose. This idea that you can either have fun or make money with rural land and often do both at the same time. How does that duality typically play out for owners?
It plays out really well, actually. Think of it like this. In the city, you might have renters paying down your mortgage on an investment property. With rural land, you could have hunters paying down your land note, or maybe loggers dish out a lump sum for timber rights. The property itself becomes an active participant in its own upkeep, maybe even its own growth, all while providing immense personal enjoyment. It really blurs the lines between investment and lifestyle.
And that's where the having a good time factor really comes in. One of the biggest appeals of rural land, for me anyway, is just the sheer freedom, fewer rules. You won't find a homeowners association, an HOA coming around looking to measure your grass length or dictating the exact shade of taupe you want to paint your shed. It truly is an escape from those micromanaging frustrations. I even heard a story once, I think it was in one of our sources, about someone wanting to build a quirky treehouse, but they got totally bogged down by permits and neighborhood complaints in a suburban area. With rural land, that kind of thing is almost unimaginable,
It
right?
truly is. That autonomy, that ability to shape your own environment without sort of external constraints, that's a huge draw. And even on a relatively small piece of land, the recreational possibilities are incredibly diverse. You can do a lot.
Indeed. Like, for instance, you can get into safe shooting. But a crucial point there, and one our sources emphasize, is liability. You're liable for those bullets after they leave your gun. So, digging a large berm, a raised bank of earth, is a really smart, safe solution. You can also camp basically whenever you want, though you might need to clear a spot for tents or maybe a small camper. Or imagine the fun of riding ATVs or side-by-sides. You could potentially even cut your own trails through the woods if you have enough space.
And of course, hunting is a major motivator for many buyers. Buying land specifically for hunting is very rewarding because it allows you to actively sculpt your land into a wildlife oasis. With food plots, maybe prescribed burns if you know what you're doing, and more. It's not just owning land, it's engaging in active conservation, creating a bespoke ecosystem tailored to your interests.
Okay, this next point is absolutely critical, and it's where things can get really interesting, maybe in a slightly scary legal sense. Easement rights. Can you break down why reliable access to your property is so incredibly important when considering buying rural land?
Access is, well, it's paramount. An easement is essentially a legally recognized private drive, a right-of-way. It ensures you can actually get to your property without any issues. Without a legally recognized easement, you might find yourself depending on someone else's gate or crossing their property for access. And, they could change the lock one day or even just forbid you from coming onto their land. That could render your property effectively landlocked and inaccessible. So this raises a vital question. If a place seems like it's a really good deal per acre, like surprisingly cheap, you absolutely need to check for easement rights because that lack of reliable legal access could be the exact reason for the lower price. It's a non-negotiable consideration, really.
So, reliable access, absolutely non-negotiable, a foundational requirement.
Okay, with that critical groundwork laid, let's pivot to the broader landscape of smart ownership. What truly goes on your buyer's checklist when considering rural property, beyond just the access piece? Absolutely. Beyond access, a comprehensive checklist is vital. First, you have to consider the location. Is there good access from public roads? We talked about that. But also, is it close to other well-kept properties? That can suggest a stable area. And crucially, are there existing or maybe potential opportunities for income streams from that specific piece of land? Then you need a solid plan for payment. Because the size, the topography, any existing infrastructure, that all significantly affects the price tag and, importantly, your ability to finance it.
Right, and don't forget the inclusions of the sale, what actually comes with the property. We're talking things like water or mineral rights, those can be huge. Or any existing structures like livestock panels, sheds, maybe even current leases for hunting or farming that you inherit. You need to know exactly what you're buying. Plus, property boundaries and zoning are non-negotiable. Knowing the exact property lines, maybe getting a survey, and understanding what types of building, farming, or hunting are permitted by local ordinances is crucial to avoid future headaches. Big ones.
Exactly. All those are important for the initial purchase, definitely. But we also need to talk about the full cost picture, beyond just the sticker price. One key insight from our research highlighted this. Land will cost you money every year, like a house, in property taxes. That's easy to forget. So you have to plan not just for the purchase price, but for that annual property tax bill. And then think about whatever annual income you can strategically generate to help offset those expenses. Maybe even a smaller hunting lease or a selective timber thinning can help cover those consistent carrying costs year after year.
Understanding the full financial commitment, including those ongoing costs like taxes and maintenance, naturally leads us to the exciting part. How to make your land not just an expense, but a genuine source of income. Let's explore some key strategies, starting with what seems like a booming opportunity, hunting leases.
Hunting is indeed big business, and yeah, it's a growing opportunity for landowners. Public hunting grounds are often getting more crowded, you hear that a lot, and as large tracts of land sometimes get bought up or developed, demand for private hunting leases as a more affordable alternative to outright land ownership for hunters is really soaring.
So it's definitely a hot market. Now, of course, any kind of leasing has its risks, right? But our sources emphasize that these can be mitigated to an acceptable level. The key seems to be setting the proper tone with prospects from the outset and vetting potential lessees thoroughly. It's about being proactive and careful up front.
That's absolutely vital. What's central here is having a really clear-cut contract. It needs to spell out the terms explicitly. Things like firearms use, camping rules, ATV usage limitations, hunting seasons, even rules about guest hunters. And to give it legal teeth, getting it signed by a notary so there's proof that the document was agreed upon by all parties involved. That protects both you and the lessee.
Good advice. You also need to mark those boundaries clearly and legally. Many states, for instance, recognize purple paint as meaning no trespassing hunting when it's painted on trees or fence posts at specific intervals. And to prevent any issues with neighbors or maybe local game wardens, it's wise to provide a handwritten permission slip with your phone number to each hunter. just clearly stating their authorization to be there.
Right. And pricing is quite flexible. It's often structured as a yearly lump sum payment. Even relatively cheap leases can bring in thousands of dollars a year. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have a property, say, in the Midwest known for big deer, you can definitely charge a premium. As one expert comment highlighted, leasing out hunting rights is almost a no-brainer if you do not hunt it yourself. Because it offsets costs, it can actually aid in wildlife management if done right, and it helps eliminate trespassing issues. It's a strategic win-win for many landowners.
That's a powerful income stream for sure. Another way to make your land work for you is through timber sales. And this isn't just about bringing in money, right? It can also be about improving your land long term. You might implement a select cut, thinning specific areas for healthier forest growth, or even a full-on clear cut if that aligns with your specific land management goals, like creating pasture.
Exactly. The process typically involves calling a reputable logging company. They'll usually send a timber cruiser out to assess your property and estimate the value. It's really important, though, to arm yourself with some knowledge beforehand. Know what your main tree types are generally valued at. And critically, you need to communicate your specific goal to the loggers very clearly. Is it just about making money, or are you trying to create a new food plot, clear land for pasture, or improve wildlife habitat? Be specific.
And this raises a really important question. How do you ensure you're getting a fair deal? And maybe more importantly, that your land is cared for during the process, not just, clear cut haphazardly for maximum immediate profit.
Yeah. This is where the critical role of hiring a professional forester comes in. A forester is basically your advocate in the whole process. They will develop a harvest plan that aligns with your long-term goals, not just short-term cash. They'll mark the specific trees to be cut based on that plan. They handle the entire bid process with logging companies to ensure competitive pricing. And especially in a shared revenue sale, they make sure every single log load is accurately accounted for. You get paid fairly. Crucially, they also guarantee that the loggers leave the woods, the skid trails, the logging roads in good, sustainable condition. They protect your investment and the health of your land for the future. It's a really valuable service.
Okay, beyond timber, for those maybe looking for a more hands-on approach, a truly foundational connection to their property, there's livestock or farming. This option definitely seems like it leads to a more self-sufficient lifestyle, deeply connecting you to your land and its productivity. What opportunities and, what costs should someone consider here?
It certainly does connect you. And while it definitely comes with associated costs, things like initial land clearing, which interestingly, can sometimes generate income itself through timber sales first, along with setting up fences, buying animals, feed, essential equipment like maybe a trailer. The rewards can be profound. Imagine the satisfaction of raising your own food, or the potential for niche markets like organic produce, specialty livestock, maybe even agritourism down the line. The learning curve can be steep, no doubt, but the independence is pretty unparalleled. And, importantly, for those who want the income without the daily grind, you also have the option to just rent this opportunity out to full-time farmers. You can turn your land into a productive asset that supports local agriculture with minimal direct effort from you. So it offers flexibility on how involved you want to be.
So many diverse avenues to explore, truly making your land work for you in different ways. But really, to circle back to the heart of our discussion, the best thing about having your own piece of rural land is just that fundamental fact. It's yours. It offers this incredible foundational flexibility.
It is true ownership in its most tangible form, isn't it? You have the ultimate freedom to enjoy it, and importantly, to do what you, as the owner, want to do with it. You're not really beholden to anyone else's rules or whims, which is a rare and, frankly, precious thing in today's world.
And ultimately, it offers lasting value. Land will increase in value, generally speaking, unlike man-made investments that can vanish overnight.
Yeah.
That flexibility to make the property work for you the way you want it to, whether that's for fun, profit, or both, that really is the ultimate benefit, I think. It's a living asset that can be both a sanctuary and a source of prosperity.
Absolutely. From being a steadfast, tangible investment to a personal escape hatch and, a surprising source of income. Rural land offers a unique kind of freedom and versatility. It's about so much more than just owning property. It's about possibility, independence, and maybe truly taking root somewhere.
Given that land is this finite resource offering both enjoyment and financial return, we want to leave you with this thought today. What underutilized resources might you have right now, whether they're literal acres you already own, or maybe metaphorical talents and skills that you could similarly cultivate for long-term benefit and personal freedom? What opportunities might you be missing because you haven't taken a deep dive into what's already yours? Something to think about. We'll see you on the next deep dive.